8 minutes or 5.
So yeah, we still got 6 minutes.
We haven't done it.
Wow, members of the public have the right to speak on any item on the agenda and in person. Commenters will have 3 minutes to speak. Subcommittees members are not required to respond directly to questions or enter into dialogue with commenters. Pursuant to the Brown Act, subcommittees not allowed to consider issues or take an action on any item not listed on the agenda. Roll call, we're all here. Let's see, who are we missing? Anybody? No, boom. Vanessa, is she gonna come in on?
She's zoomed in.
Oh, she zoomed in. Okay, looks like we're all here. Public comments, see none. Approval of minutes, we got the one. Do we got a motion to approve our last minutes from May 27, 2025?
Make a motion to approve.
Got a second?
Second.
Cool, there it is. Approved there, and we'll move right into D, the business items, starting with Public Works, Cloverdale Sidewalk Repair Ordinance.
Hey Susie, are you out there? You click on attendees.
Oh, hi Vanessa.
Susie's there.
Mike, can you?
They're being muted right now. They need to push the button. There we go. We got Susie and Harry.
Susie, you want to introduce it and then we'll hand it over?
This is a project that we are considering. We wanted to get a kind of a measure of, you know, what council would be willing to do. It is for a sidewalk ordinance. Basically, the ordinance would be, you know, I'm gonna let E. Reich Young is from Sierra. Sierra is who we do all of our insurance through. And I'm gonna let him take over, and I'm sure he can explain it much better than I can fumble through it.
All right, so let's make sure my audio is working. Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, Susie, happy to help elaborate on this. So within your staff report, I think provides a good summary. Also has some statistics regarding the as far as what we see. And so I provided those to Susie as far as some of the data and the type of claims that we see. And then also basically what as a pool, I provided some information there. So I'll just, as far as a summary, right now under Streets and Highways Code 5610, it's essentially codified that the adjacent property owner is responsible for maintaining their sidewalk. And that's been around since basically 1911. And depending on the jurisdiction, some will basically adopt a Streets and Highway Code, which basically allows what they call the superintendent of streets to impose or basically send a notice to adjacent property owners when their sidewalk is to be found not in an unsafe condition and require that they make the repairs to it. And then within a certain amount of time, if they don't do it, the city can actually make those repairs and bill them for that. And if they don't pay that, then additionally can put a lien on the property as part of doing that. What many municipalities have done is they've actually have their own sidewalk ordinance, which basically kind of simplifies the process from the Streets and Highways Code language. So that was one of the kind of the first part on there. What basically what's been occurring more is it has to do with the liability. So even if the property owner is required to maintain their sidewalk, ultimately, if someone trips and falls or there's an injury to the person, the city's the one that's held liable for the payment of those claims. And so that's where you see some of the stats that are basically in the document there and kind of talks about that. San Jose is often referenced as a test case in there, in which San Jose passed an ordinance basically around in the early 90s and late 2000s that basically began to transfer the liability also to the adjacent property owner. It went through the courts and was found that the language was not clear and unambiguous or ambiguous. And so they said, you can do it as long as you have better language there. They have since shortly after that, they had another test case, which they did have that. And essentially, since the San Jose case, I'd say probably half the municipalities in California have adopted some form of transfer of liability and put that in their ordinance. So as long as the local municipality has their own ordinance and has language that meets essentially the San Jose test, you can transfer the liability to the adjacent property owners. From CIRA's perspective, so Cloverdale, obviously being a member of CIRA, we're a risk pool. You share risk with the other 60 members or 59 members that are part of the pool. And so once the city's deductible is paid, then the rest of the pool essentially helps pay for those claims up to whatever the limits might be on there. Approximately about 70% of CIRA members have already adopted some type of ordinance that transfers the risk. And I think in the staff report, it even includes, I think I put in there, I don't have it in front of me, but the neighboring members as well as non-members of CIRA that have passed it. Cotati, St. Helena, I think of some of the other ones that are in there.
Well, it's Windsor.
Yeah. So those are the ones in the local area. But if you look at probably more Northern California, but if you look at all the members, approximately 70% have adopted this. Also, the League of Cities has a white paper on the subject, which also encourages municipalities to basically adopt an ordinance. So the question you might ask is, well, why haven't we done this already? Or we looked at it, and because in most cases, it's a political decision. It's getting that over the hump of where, of course, residents might be opposed to the idea of why are we responsible for the sidewalk. The most recent member that passed it in your area was Windsor. And we provided the data, and where we expected to have some pushback, there actually was not that much pushback, partly because when they saw the amount of cost and claims that were coming from it, and it's explained that the taxpayers, the residents, are the ones actually paying for the claims where someone trips and falls. And then they're like, well, we should be making these people fix their sidewalks. Why am I paying for these? And so that was kind of the philosophy that allowed that to actually pass fairly easy. The city of Upland is currently in the process of also doing this, as well as Rancho Cucamonga, are two other Southern California cities that are also in the process of adopting a similar language with the liability ordinance. Willits also is one of the more recent. So Willits and Windsor, the W's here, in your area are the ones that have most recently adopted, at least in that part of the state. So I think I hopefully explained at least kind of the background and kind of the rationale for it. And then as part of the backup is a lot of, you want to call it templates and other programs where we've, again, worked with other members on this and help them develop the language. And then also there's various options that you can put in place, such as kind of cost sharing to help start with the program, things like that. So that way you can get it past the initial hump of getting buy-in from the public and to be able to move forward on something like this. So happy to answer any questions or go into more detail.
I got one for you, Eric. This is Brian Wheeler here. Just right off the bat, and I know we're gonna need to get some language going on this to get it through people, but my big concern is some of the areas in Cloverdale, and I'm sure it's every town, there's sections that have had for years had the bad sidewalks. And my big thing is some folks down there, the reason they're like that, they just absolutely cannot afford to do anything down in I mean, it's all over town, and you go and hit one of these guys up that are going paycheck to paycheck and say, hey, guess what? You need $5 grand to fix your things. We don't get sued. There's going to be an automatic pushback right there. So that's my big concern. I see that coming already. And I mean, I know a lot of towns are doing it, but when you talked about the verbiage and all that, we're going to have to really come up with something good here and have to explain it to folks so they'll have bite off. Right now, I don't think they're going to.
So what some cities have done in that case is, if you want to call it a loan program,
Right.
The city has basically done a no interest they basically did the work to make the improvements done, and then basically had a payment plan to which, again, no interest, to which then they allowed it to happen that way. Others have done where it's an annual, they've put in the budget $10,000 or $20,000 or whatever. I mean, in some cases it may not be enough. I can tell you, the city of Upland is exactly the same boat you are, but
Right.
in their case, they're paying $800,000 a year in liability claims. Their sidewalks are horrendous, and
Yeah.
instead of fixing them, right, they're paying all these people that trip and fall. And then others have done where they've basically put it into a program where it's over a number of years, that it's going to be, you're going to adopt it now, and then over the course of time, as far as the maintenance of it, you know, that they can get these items fixed. So there's different ways to do it. It's, again, what you described is what usually the biggest pushback is. It's been this way forever. Why isn't the city doing this? Why haven't you done this before? And I know several that have basically put in more of a 3-year time frame, to which, or again, a payment plan, and that's seemed to work out okay.
Is there a difference between the business district sidewalks and the residential sidewalks? And what about when within the city limits where there's no sidewalks?
Okay, great questions. So one of your neighbors, St. Helena, actually they have the ordinance in place, and they have actually excluded the business district and so they basically, by the street, main street from whatever to whatever, basically is not inclusive of the liability ordinance or the maintenance.
You have something right there. Who's liable then?
The city. So the city is taking that on with the idea that they're the ones maintaining the main street. So
Wouldn't that be pushed back? Why would the city protect the business owners and not the residential owners? I see that coming.
that goes back to the political decision that they decided to make.
So we have neighborhoods 40, 50 years old, and there's trees with 3 to 4 foot diameter trunks. That might be a little overstating, but they push the sidewalks up and out of place for years. So what some people have done is they put bricks. So the bricks undulate with the roots, but it's still not a good fix.
Yeah, and so actually I'll address the other thing about places with no sidewalks. Actually, there is no requirement, unless you have it in your ordinance, that you have to have sidewalks. But by not having sidewalks, you actually don't have an issue from a liability standpoint. It's when you actually put in a sidewalk that you actually now own the risk exposure associated with it. So those places that don't have sidewalks, this does not become, they don't have to install it. Sidewalks, unless that was something you actually already have in place that they're required to have sidewalks. Then the other issue about trees. So the city of Sacramento is probably the best example of where they've really pushed the envelope to the furthest you probably can. They've included in their ordinance that even if it is a street tree, the adjacent property owner is responsible for and liable for any injuries, even if it was a street tree. Typically, what happens is, let's say it is a street tree that is uplifting, the city would still have some liability. It's not a complete all pushed over. It might be 50-50 if it was a street tree. It depends on what the issues are in the case. And so there are some things where, you know, the city would still have some liability potentially on there. And I think, I'm trying to think, when your claims, I guess the other thing I would just add, one thing that's happened ever since COVID is that the number of claims that cities are experiencing is probably doubled. And especially with sidewalks, you see more Sweet James billboards and whatever billboards on the freeway. And it's those type of things that we're actually seeing more. So about prior to COVID, we had about 400, 450 claims a year between all of our members. We're now exceeding 800 claims a year. Even though we increased the number, but what has happened is people are suing more, and they're looking for anything and everything, and they consider cities to be the deep pockets. And so if you look at your claim history, Cloverdale didn't see very many claims. It's only in the last really 3 to 5 years that you've actually seen sidewalk claims. Up until that point, you had never had sidewalk claims in the data that I pulled.
Yeah, and
So-
I just want to also add that in the last month or two, we've had multiple sidewalk claims, and several of them look like they're going to be very expensive.
If we do the ordinance, how does that affect our premiums?
No. So, yeah, there's no impact on your premium. We don't, I mean, you're a risk sharing pool, so you're sharing risk with everyone else, but we don't change your premium based upon that, no.
So
But
if somebody falls on the sidewalk, their first claim is gonna be with the homeowner's insurance? Is that correct? And not us necessarily, or?
So typically the way the process normally works is that when someone sues, if that, usually they'll have an attorney, they present a claim under the Government Claims Code Act, and they would basically, Susie would be most likely the one, and her office would get that. And then our third-party administrator would review it. If you have an ordinance in place, we would basically reject the claim and tender the claim to the adjacent property owner. And essentially they would then put their homeowner's insurance on notice. And typically what happens is the homeowner's insurance pays. In some cases, there may be some pushback based upon the circumstances where they will want to bring the city back in, if it's a city tree, things like that. And then there might be some cost sharing. But ultimately, if it's $100,000 claim, the city would then pay 50, and then they would pay 50 rather than the city paying right now 100,000, the whole 100% of the claim.
And Eric, doesn't our mod rate go,
Yeah.
our X mod rate goes up the more claims we have? So essentially, it does kind of affect our premium.
Yeah, so it doesn't affect the premium from what our base rate that we charge, but it does, your experience modification is again, as the name implies, based upon the number of claims and the cost of claims that you have. And so as an example, 1 is considered average. So if you have a 1X mod, whatever the rate is, you multiply by 1, you're good. If you had a 1.5X mod, you're basically paying 50% more, whatever the base rate is. So your rate can go up quite considerably depending on the number of claims. And then again, and that X mod stays with you for 5 years. It's until the tail falls off. If you have just the opposite, better experience, right, and you're 0.5, then your rate is 50% of what it would normally be based upon it. So, so those that have adopted this, what I've seen, those agencies have adopted. Grass Valley is a great example. They have some areas with sidewalks, Gold Rush area town. If you've been there, they don't have sidewalk claims anymore. Almost all of them get tendered, whereas before they had a lot, and they basically get tendered, and their X mod has been reduced because of that.
What I was gonna ask Susie is if we can bring this to the finance committee too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was gonna say, and then.
Four of you guys can.
Yeah, and then also before we run it up to council, Susie, and I don't know if you can, but I'd like to see how many claims and all that Cloverdale has seen, you know what I mean? Just kind of the whole package put together, a little more info before we run it up to whole council and everybody's kind of got the gist of it then. I see it, for lack of better terms, really pissing some people off in some neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be on the hook for what you put in the tree, that argument's gonna be ongoing forever, but also I see the benefit of having the ordinance. So, I mean, you gotta have a little more info.
Yeah.
Run it by finance also before we bring it up to full council, and I think then we can get some solid verbiage for an ordinance and finalize this thing, but we gotta have a few more people put their eyes on this thing.
Yeah, balance.
And Eric, do you have examples of those cities' ordinances?
Absolutely. Yep, I've got, actually, Willits is included. I think, Windsor's included in the packet, I think. So they've got theirs. Willits is there too. Yeah, I can, how many ever you want, happy to share those. I've got Sacramento's in there. And then Susie was also showing, so I already provided the data. So the thing with, in total for Cloverdale, the good news is you don't get very many claims, right? In total, over the last 10 years, we're only showing you've had 18 claims total for any type of condition right now. But if you look at those 18, the most frequent, in this case, you have a couple vehicle collision, which are minor for the most part. You had a couple water claims, but you've had 3 sidewalk claims with a total incurred of $100,000. So essentially each claim cost you $33,000. You know, not all those were paid out, but in some of those, I think Susie indicated there may be some more coming as well. This is the data as of 6/30 that we ran it, and this is the last 10 years. So from a data standpoint, you know, there may not be a whole lot of numbers, but we're seeing them increase. And then the number, if you look above where it says for Sierra and our 59 members, there's been 415 sidewalk claims with a total incurred over $8 million over the last 10 years. So
Yeah, and I just want to point out that we've had 3 over the past 10 years, and we've had 2 in the past 2 months.
Yeah.
So we're definitely seeing an uptick in the claims.
Yeah, so to your point, Eric, you're talking about Sweet James. I know years ago, before they, right after they enacted the ADA, there was a lawyer from Marin County just running around Marin Snow County suing everybody. So, I mean, if this is a revenue stream, I'm sure some lawyer is gonna be ahead of the curve and look to profit off that. So we need to be a little bit ahead of the curve ourselves.
That's what I'm thinking.
So limit our liability, of course.
Yeah. And also my recommendation would be that we do set up a grant fund. Maybe it's first come, first serve, maybe it's an annual thing. If someone calls in and says, hey, I have this sidewalk issue, but I can't afford, we can do 2 things. We can grant part of it. We can say, if you pay for the product, our staff will fix the sidewalk. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that we can go about getting it done.
ED funds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's infrastructure though, right? So, I mean, we're gonna have to help people that.
Yeah, there's gonna be some work put into this one, but I see the benefit, Eric, definitely of getting it on there. You know, it is a political thing. We're not gonna make everybody happy, but whatever.
I think we'll take it to the finance
Right.
committee and then
Sounds getting bigger
we'll
too.
come back and
And
we'll do it slow. I mean, we're gonna
Yeah.
really have all the answers.
I agree. Cool.
Thanks for your
Awesome.
input.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
Eric, real quick, do those sample ordinances address encroachment permits at all?
They usually don't. So I guess the question, from what degree, as far as they usually have design, they might have some design issues in saying that they have to meet the city's design requirements. But usually the encroachment permits are separate, and it just references in the encroachment permit, it'll reference the ordinance that they have to, whatever the design requirements are for curb cuts and things like that.
And do you run into any issues with sidewalks that are shared with Caltrans?
So when you, okay, so the issue with Caltrans, so Calistoga is probably a good example where they have state highway essentially, or state, and that's the case, Caltrans or the state actually has already adopted an ordinance. So if you have state property running through there, they usually already have an ordinance that transfers liability to the adjacent property owners when it is a state highway. So they've already done it. It's the local municipalities that have not basically adopted it.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Susie.
Thanks to you, Reich.
You're welcome. Take care.
Going trees.
So with that being said, we would need to set up something that, you know, somebody can't just throw, you know, fence posts, 80 sack concrete into a sidewalk mix. It has to be what, 4 to 6,000 PSI.
What's
Rated.
standard?
Standards.
Yeah,
But I
but
mean, it has to be written in, right?
Yeah,
And
all the city standards gotta be in there.
well, yeah, when they get an encroachment permit, they'll say you have to meet city standard this. And that's it.
Gotcha.
And if there's trees, if there's street trees or homeowners trees.
Well, the street trees are
Arbors,
typically almost
stuff.
trees.
And then the homeowner's gonna say, I bought the house, and the tree was here before, the developer planted it, yeah, I don't
And
want
it's
the
not
tree,
now.
it's gonna.
Yeah, well,
Because
they-
all the time.
Yeah, there's so many.
unless it's to protect the tree, then they can move forward
Yeah.
with getting a permit to remove, but it's not recommended.
Gotcha. All right, that's gonna take some doing, but
It's worth checking.
it's worth checking out. Definitely.
All right.
Can I also add that 4 of the 5 claims have all been on the boulevard? So,
There's a big one coming too.
Which one?
For sidewalks on Boulevard.
Mhm.
Business district?
Yeah. For an equal tank.
Wow, really?
Mhm.
Gotcha.
So that's another thing, is like, okay, so he said exclude. The city can exclude the business district and take the liability. But then you have places like the bank, there's nobody in the bank. The Chinese food restaurants, there's nobody in there. So it's like, we're taking on all this.
Generally,
additional liability.
we take over the liability for the area, the sidewalk we maintain, so if we took the liability, then we would. Be saying that we would be maintaining that section of sidewalk. So the potential for hazard would go away because the city would be continuously maintaining it. So if one goes with the other, if we take on the liability, we're gonna continuously maintain it.
I hear that,
Yeah. Well, there's a lot more to come on it, so.
but definitely a lot more to come, that's. for
Yeah,
sure.
if we wanna do it, you know.
Yeah,
At
let's
least you give us a
run
break.
it
It's
by-
kind of a break hour.
I'd say run it to finance again and then possibly run it to council and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sounds good.
We good on that?
Yep.
Cool. First Street CDBG sidewalk project. Who's that?
That'd be me or Vanessa, that's I don't really have any updates, do you have did we receive the 100% drawings from that?
We do, yeah, the design and specs, estimate is all complete. In fact, Coastland emailed me this morning asking if we had an anticipated construction start date. Bear with me here, I'm not totally sure of the numbers, but, I think the CDBG funding is, I want to say $75,000 shy of like the construction estimate. Anyways, I could just be completely off base with that number, but the CDBG funding is a little shy. And so we've submitted a grant funding application to supplement those funds through SCTA. Anyways, I guess it's a matter of when do we want to go to construction? How do we want to supplement the funding? Because the CDBG funds are a little bit short.
Yeah,
We always knew, I mean, the CDBG,
Wasn't gonna cover all.
it does like half the paper. When the
Yeah, we're hoping
concrete is
that
another,
the SCTA project will get approved in this next round.
or we'll
And
pony
even
up
if it
20,
doesn't,
if we pony up 75.
yeah,
we're getting
we'll
a
still
lot of
have,
sidewalk.
we'll be able to budget some of the streets and sidewalks and possibly DD money to get us to the end. And then so we'll move forward.
There's a stretch of sidewalk kind of by the overpass,
Mhm.
there's a curb there, but there's no sidewalk,
Yeah.
so we're gonna.
So we'll probably put that in a bid soon.
Nice.
You're obviously gonna put the rumble strip with it, make it ADA, right?
Oh, yeah, that's,
Yeah,
the
I'll let-
whole CDBG is ADA
Okay.
compliant stuff.
What is the acronym?
Community Development Block Grant, it's federal money.
All right. South Cloverdale Boulevard updates.
We're still working on a RFP for that project. That's part of the one of the Ghost and Oil projects. We sending that out soon, hopefully.
You go on there.
Where does that encompass?
It would be, it's First Street to Franklin. It's striping and some bulb outs. And some traffic amenities for a traffic calming project.
Safety improvements near schools.
This safety, if this is, we covered this in the school subcommittee, the request for the sidewalk, you guys will have a discussion item at your meeting tomorrow night about this. And then Hector has been doing quite a bit of striping and thermal on all the school areas, getting it ready, doing a good job making it safe for parents and students to get back into the school.
Vulcan, I'm waiting for one property owner to see if they will grant us an easement. If they do not grant us the easement, then we'll have to go all the way around down Murray Lane to access the Vulcan property that way.
Is the county still involved, or?
Kinda, yeah, he's on the periphery, but I need to get all the players.
But the county doesn't even have an easement through there, do they?
The county does, I don't think they do. The gate, but Vulcan owns right up to, where Sutter is. And we just wanna see if we can get an easement between the gate and,
Vulcan.
yeah. So if we they don't grant that, then we'll have to go all the way around. So that's my last piece of the puzzle.
Manager report,
Just anything in the manager's report is gonna be covered in the next sections.
gotcha. Any water, wastewater, water sustainability projects.
So Vanessa at Westfield put together the list of projects that we've been kind of reviewing. I think my next step is to see if the water agency will meet with us to talk about the, I think the first section on there, Vanessa, was like water sources or something like that, or new sources. I forget what it was called, but we want to, we want to meet with the water agency to go over those to see if there's any funding available. So that meeting's being set up now, and we'll have Vanessa and Derek and whoever else in there.
Wasn't that the one too where, our guy at Burnsack wanted the
Cost.
monetary value of that entire list?
Okay.
I was like, okay, stand by, buddy.
Right.
You know, but I mean, that was one thing he requested, so.
So what this is, Mark, is it's a list of, we asked Vanessa to put together a list of all the water projects. And this is really, the goal of it is to, as the Potter Valley thing progresses, look for funding for these, sort of as mitigation for them taking that out, to try to get, to help us with our water future. I mean, that's the gist of it.
Right.
So we have a list, we're gonna ask you maybe Vanessa to try to put a dollar amount on those, and then meet with the water agency to see if they have any funding available for any of those, and just sort of keep this list active, and so it's at the ready. So, all right, what do you need? All right, we need these, you know, kind of thing.
Thank you.
7 and 8, well, 7 and 8 update.
We're moving forward with all that. We got one RFI for the well driller on some details of the drilling itself. We're doing now, we're waiting for 2 more minerals. And we met with the county today to go over some permitting requirements, but we're moving through it. Hopefully we can get it done by the end of the year.
Nice. No biosolids.
We've received 2 scopes so far. We put out an RFP a while ago. And we're gonna close that here in the next week or so and then review those. Manager's report for information only is we tied in the new transformer at the wastewater plant for PG&E. We're running on PG&E with the new 750 transformer. And we should be running with the solar capacity and the Tesla battery on our side by the end of the week. We should see the baseline solar production. We're gonna plan a cleaning of all the panels in the next 2 weeks. That way we can calculate a baseline and start negotiating this possible differential rate or whatnot. We're gonna negotiate with PG.
Is that PG coming in at 480? What will they serve? Will they feed them?
They're feeding the plant 480.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh. Community development.
Just a couple things real quick. Baumgartner is going again. It's full crew out there after several months of inactivity. So that's good.
What's the drop dead turnkey date?
Well,
Year.
From our perspective, we don't have that on them.
Right.
I mean, they have all that tax credit financing, so I'm sure, I know there's deadlines on that, but I can find out. I can
There's
have.
no permit expiration.
Well, there's building permit. Yeah, I don't know. I have to look it up, but there could be that actually.
So speaking of sidewalks on the new development, are we going to put trees in that are non-invasive to surface roots?
Yeah, they submitted a landscape plan that we reviewed, and I mean, I can't say for sure that they're not gonna push up the sidewalk, but I think that's definitely part of the.
Because once again, if building an apartment complex, who's responsible for that? You're not gonna, divide it by 100 apartments to take the liability of that, right?
With the association.
One of the conditions that we put in there when we originally got the plans and reviewed them was to install root barriers to encourage on each one of the trees, to encourage the roots to grow down instead of outwards. Because that's one of the things, that's the issue that we're having on the boulevard and in other cities, that they didn't put any root barriers, and it's just threw the tree in there. And that really does make a difference. This, you put like a 3-foot root barrier, and the roots are gonna go, by the time they come up with this service, it'll take longer.
Well, so the inspection process during that phase of the project, I know most of our inspectors are third party. So how can we mitigate that?
Well, I mean, they call for inspections. We do have an in-house public works inspector who's being trained and Derek's helping him, so. They do call for inspections and we go out and make sure it's done to the specifications and the plans. Hector helps out with those too.
I can go help, yeah.
Yeah, so we can,
Make
based
sure they
on
put them in.
what we're all talking about today.
Yeah.
We don't wanna leave somebody else in 10 years with the responsibility, right? Like,
Yeah, the only other thing I wanna mention is the Alexander Valley, healthcare it went through planning commission, got approved, so it's gonna be coming to city council for final approval. There's a development agreement, specifies everything they're doing, we're doing. Right now, we're, discussing the cost share on the road. So I initially had an agreement based on the traffic study and it had us generating this much traffic and them generating a certain amount, but that's kind of invalid at this point because, we're not building, it was based on us building a police station, which we're not. So now we're waiting for final numbers on the entirety of Washington Street. And then we're gonna propose some way to split that. It does benefit our remaining lot, because there'll be a street put in.
Yep.
So there is some benefit to us, and we're looking at ways to pay for that, that could really be, we're not gonna hit the general fund, but we had a meeting with them to discuss how we're gonna divide it. We didn't come to an agreement yet. It wasn't contentious or anything, but we said we need to know the dollar amount before we can even have this conversation. So they're coming back with their contractor, with the dollar amount, and then we're gonna divide it up. And then it'll all be in front of the council. You guys can talk about it.
70-30.
Cause it has to be like based on something.
I know, we gotta have numbers, man, we can't just say, yeah, I know, I'm with you. Alrighty,
and then what about the infamous beer pub on the corner?
The highway, or 101 North,
Yeah,
the chain link, yeah. So I did send him an email about early last week and said, "You're killing me. What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'll light a fire under them." They submitted building plans without plumbing, electric, and HVAC. There was like 3 components missing, and so we've been waiting for them. They went ahead and did a lot of work, which we kind of, whatever, we didn't drop the hammer on them, but they finally submitted, a decent set of plans, but it's missing. So I said to the owner, like I said, "You're killing me. What are you doing? I'll light a fire on them." So I'm gonna send them another email.
Yeah.
And now they bought pigs too, so.
I see they're making improvements on pigs.
yeah,
That looks like that's going forward.
time to get both of them rolling, buddy.
And then car wash, any update on the car wash? I see somebody was over there cleaning it all up.
Yeah, it did close. The new owner is in possession of it. I've seen like some preliminary drawings, but they haven't submitted for building permits yet. They'll have to go to planning commission. It is a zoning change. It'll go to council too, because council has to approve zoning changes. So they are working on plans. We just haven't seen them yet. I'm gonna ask them to tear that thing down.
First.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It took longer for them to close because they had to survey it and then
Right.
some things came into play, so,
And
but it is
spike.
closed now.
So hence that spike in your driveway is probably the survey marks.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was.
And they came in and they were like literally 2 inches away from my water line when they just drove the stake.
Nice.
But yeah, I think that's one thing that the mayor mentioned too, when he was talking to whoever the owner is, is like, let's go ahead and show some progress, get that thing tore down.
Yeah,
And then people in town have a little more buffer zone in case something's actually
And
happening.
look at it.
It's covered, it's tagged up now, so, yeah.
I'm gonna send an email right now.
Okay, cool.
And then I see that we all got the letter from the Indian tribe that they bought the Boys and Girls Club. They're gonna have to do something there. Are they driving permits or they?
They haven't submitted for any permits yet, but I would imagine they're gonna, change that thing around, so they're gonna need permits. But we haven't gotten them yet.
And then the property across the street here, saw that went public.
Yeah, that's gonna be a topic of closed session tomorrow. There's a little bit of progress on that, but
Cool.
I'll let you guys know what that is when in closed session.
And what else is happening?
There's a subdivision up on it's Vista Oaks that seemingly was dead, but there seems to be some interest in it now. It's already subdivided. There's a map. It's someone could go in there and start building. It's
Is that the north end of town?
Across from Hamburg Ranch.
yeah, the entrance is across from Hamburger Ranch.
Above the Lutheran church there.
There's some big time conditions on that.
Blackman's house.
Yeah, yeah, Blackman's. There's some really expensive upfront things that need to be done. There's slides and road. So I didn't think anyone would ever do it just because.
Right.
But they've been talking to our planner about trying to revive that thing. It's all talk at this point, so. There's the one down at the end of Second Street, well, you know, Zanzi's property, I don't know if you know Zanzi, there's a vacant lot there. There is a development proposal for that, but they've seemed to gone quiet, so I don't know if that's got legs or not. What else? Fantastic Road Apartments.
The Live Oak Lane subdivision.
Oh yeah, the Live Oak Lane, that's a.
Yeah.
Is that the 15 lot or the 4 lot?
4 lot,
Yeah, it's a small one.
15 in the future, and they want to put ADUs on each lot as well, so it'll be pretty dense.
Wow.
That's above Osty Road Apartments.
Yeah.
I think that's it for the major ones, huh? Vanessa, you, yeah.
Esmeralda, that's pretty major.
That's.
Yeah.
Any change on that? I haven't heard this one.
Vanessa submitted comments on their water report, extensive comments, so that's it. Needs some major revisions. It's kind of glossing over many things and she let them know. So,
What about the annexation of the water districts?
6 acres and all that.
Derek could probably.
We had a meeting about that today.
Yeah.
Going slow.
The other one. Yeah, I've been in those meetings and
It's all the same players in both 6 acres and South Cloverdale, pretty much for the 2 waters and a sewer.
Is there any progress being made?
Slow, it's slow. I mean, you got state entities and county, multiple engineering groups, multiple residents, homeowners. There's a lot of moving
it's
parts.
been going on, that 6 acres has been going on for 8 years.
I know, that seems just, I mean, the people are still boiling water, so you're telling me that they're gonna.
Oh, they're not boiling water.
I think one of them is under a boil water notice. I just don't know which one it is.
6 acres.
Hey guys, I don't want to jump in too much, but we are, it's just a manager report. We can't really discuss the items.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, let's move on.
Thank you.
Let's roll. This rolls into Hector's lap now. It's all you, man.
That's the good stuff. The happy stuff. So just parks and open spaces update. I know we haven't had one of these meetings in a while, so just I'll mention it real quick. That existing gazebo at the city park got completely
It's awesome.
remodeled.
Yeah.
That thing is brand new. We got a new roof on it, new wood, new paint, everything. So you,
I'm glad we went that.
yeah, that one looks really good.
Super
A
good.
lot of positive feedback from the community. The second gazebo that we discussed up here, and a few other meetings, went out to bid. I got 2 bids back. One of them was not interested on the bid. The second bid came really high. And then the bid that was awarded, or we haven't awarded it yet, but we're gonna do it, as a local contractor.
Awesome.
And-
Same guy that did the other one?
Yep.
Perfect.
So we're gonna do that, we're gonna go with that, local, there's a couple blocks away.
Yep.
So we're hopefully, I was talking to Kevin about it yesterday, so we're just gonna start the paperwork process on it
Perfect, man.
and get going with that. And then the other, the dog park here. Who put the lights in there? Was that Mike? It's the dog park we got, yeah, we're looking to get some solar lights out of the dog park there.
Those things are winter, man.
They're nice, yeah, so.
Good ones.
I know.
Yes, I think we got a little bit of funding there from the impact fees to purchase those. That's one of the improvements there. I know the wastewater plant was scoping some of those out too. I think Jay already bought a couple too. And then since we're on the subject of the dog park, we did get a couple quotes to build an ADA pathway from the gate up to the first shade structure, which we got 2 bids from. One of them came in really low. It's only a couple $1,000.
Wow.
So they're 3,200 or something like that, so we're gonna go with that, and that's gonna, I think the document went out for signature today. So they should start on it here within the next week, get that going, so that would go, that way we were compliant.
Yeah.
With the dog park there, so that's pretty big, and then the scouts cabin.
We have two quotes to do the architecture on the Scouts cabin. They're both pretty expensive.
Yeah. That's all.
So I don't know, we might wanna rethink it a little bit. We do have the money, but it's, you know, what we've experienced is the project management portion from firms in Santa Rosa seems pretty lacking. Cause they're not here, so Hector ends up doing all of it, so I think what the current thought was that we just get a quote for the plans. And then we do have the CDBG money in there, so there's a
Yeah.
little bit of paperwork. It has to be a formal bid, the whole thing.
With the opening day.
There's that Buy America provision,
Yeah, that's what's hard.
which we'll just have to put that in the bid packet that whoever that thing. So.
Yeah,
I mean, as far as like the construction aspect of with my little bit of construction background, I've done that in the past, I can manage that, it's no problem. But, I always just need to include all that in the bid package, so that he's comparing apples to apples and get a chance to.
yeah.
Maybe we get the plans and the bid package.
Who's getting this to the bid packet? One of the people trying to plan?
Well, we got to pick one and get a revised scope, see if we can bring that dollar amount down. We need to, though, we need to get on. So.
That's
That's kind of all part of the package of opening up Soda Springs, new gazebo, scouts,
gonna be awesome.
and then charging for.
Yep.
Reservations, you know what I mean?
Park's gonna be nice.
Yeah, it is. It's well, it's already,
Super
they're nice now. It's just, it's gonna upgrade them, people, you know.
It's a nice park.
Management.
Pitch management.
I got a question on vegetation management. Was that the fire that did up there, you know, when you're going up Yorty Creek, right before the water tank?
Yeah,
That whole draw going up there, up to the right side, which I think would be going up to Anderson's or whatever, who cut all that down?
I think it's a private contractor.
Was it really?
I think I don't know if the property owner, because I went out there too, check it out, I didn't recognize those guys.
They left a bunch of crap in there, but it's been cleaned out now too.
Yeah, I think it's somebody, the property owner must have hired their
Gotcha.
private
I
contractor.
was wondering.
They do that now, a lot of
Yeah.
property owners.
Cool.
Yeah, so like for vegetation management for us, so I met with Chief Marshall and Chief Jenkins. And we came to, like we do every year, and we came up with a plan. And we met at Porterfield Creek and Soda Springs Ranch. And normally we target about 12 acres of vegetation management. And the money that gets utilized to pay for this work is measuring funds for parks. So no general fund gets used for this, so we met with them. They give me, I'm waiting for a quote, and every year like we do, we'll target 12 acres, and then we do a mixture of prescribed burning, pile burning, and chipping. One of the nice things about Soda Springs Ranch, their roads are wide and nice, so we're gonna do mostly chipping.
Cool.
Out here, Porterfield Creek is different because the bridges are so narrow, there's no roads to get up there. The Soda Springs Ranch will be able to get in there and do some chipping, which is nice. And then, on top of that, we've met a few times at the firehouse. For the last 3 months. And we got some information and we applied. For a CAL FIRE grant, for that CAL FIRE grant, I know the city committed to paying. If we get it,
30,000 for the.
Yeah.
For environmental
for
review.
this equipment, but if you do get it, then we're gonna get it anywhere between $750 to $1 million. And that's gonna be just on city properties.
Wow.
So if we get it, that'll really help out. And in case they ever take measure funds out of there, so it's gonna benefit the city. Cause we're gonna do, all the way around the west side, and maybe do the river park and do all the city properties that we can do with those funds. That's what they're strictly for. I think you've got a really good chance of getting it. I mean, all the fire chief around this area signed it.
Yeah, that'd be
And
nice.
we put our information in there, so that's hopefully here in the next few weeks, we can hear about that. And then just the last one, the manager's report. The Furber Park Playground grand opening is this Thursday. At 5:30, from 5:30 to 6.
Be a lot of people, they're there every night.
Every night.
There's like 40 people there
Yeah.
every single night, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We're gonna have some light refreshments, and we have a little table there with some stickers for the kids.
Coors Light.
Course light, and some light refreshment, that's what it's like. And then, so either, so come check us out, come see us. As far as like street goes, we've been going, like Derek mentioned earlier in the meeting. We've been striping every crosswalk around, we targeted all 3 schools, Washington, Jefferson School, and the high school, and all the major crosswalks. We stripe with any striping machine. We did a combination of that, and had some thermal left over, which we did we replaced the yellow school crossing flashing lights with some LEDs that are really bright. And, all the intent is to keep the kids safe going from to work, and then just regular, not just the kids, but everybody. So we're gonna keep doing, we got all the major ones. I know the crew's gonna go out tomorrow, scheduled for tomorrow, there's a few more, so we're gonna keep doing it until,
That's looking good, man.
yeah. So that's about it for the report.
Then the other thing, D1 is just our supplemental package on what we were talking about with Eric. We'll gain a little more info on that and run it to another subcommittee, and then finally to council. And boom, anybody got anything else? All right, let's move into E. My favorite one, adjournment at 2:50. Thank you, gentlemen.
Nice, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Good stuff.